Hi, my name's Lindsay and welcome to Tay Tay Teaches. This is my very first vlog ever, and I've got to tell you I'm kind of nervous. Watching myself on camera kind of freaks me out. So, I have been watching teaching vlogs for just a few weeks, and I have gotten the inspiration to go ahead and start my own. It initially started when I was trying to look for ideas for my classroom this year, which I will talk about in a later vlog. But once I started looking at some, I was like, this is something I really want to do, and I tried to find some vlogs that were kind of more teaching the grades I teach. Lately, just recently, I've noticed that there's been a tag going around on YouTube and I believe on Instagram, hashtag I teach too. And so I decided that for my very first vlog ever on my brand new channel, it would be a good idea for me to answer these questions for you and to do the same thing so that everybody can get to know me. Okay, so I wrote everything down today. I was watching Too Cool for Middle School's vlog, which actually today was my first time ever watching that one. And I just wanted to kind of get what the questions were. I've also watched Pocketful of Primary's do this one as well, and Mr. Thain. So I wanted to go ahead and hop on the train as well. So the first question, what do you teach and where? I teach 6th grade at an elementary school in central Indiana. Last year I taught all subjects for 6th grade, since I am at the elementary school. This year I have a new teaching partner and we're going to try something new that some of the other grades have been doing in our school called flexible grouping. So we're going to test our kids. We're going to have a low math and a high math. We're going to have a low reading and a high reading. My teaching partner will teach the high reading and the low math, and I will teach the high math and the low reading. And so that means that her class and my class, we're kind of all going to be mixed up, and we're going to be sharing kids. Last year I had an amazing teaching partner last year as well, and our classes were more separated, so I didn't even get to know her kids until like maybe towards the end of the year. I was on maternity leave, so there was that too, but I didn't really get to know them. So I'm glad this year that we're going to be able to mix it up. Question number 2. How long have you been teaching? This will be my 5th year of teaching. I count my very first year, even though it was not considered full-time. I was teaching maternity leave positions for the entire year in the same school district. So I taught 1st grade for 2 months, and then for the rest of the school year I taught 2nd grade. And then after that I got my full-time position, 6th grade, at the intermediate school in that same district. And I loved it so much, but unfortunately it was ripped, and because of budgets and that kind of a thing, and then I got my job where I'm at now, and I love it so much. Question number 3. Did you always know that you wanted to be a teacher? Well, I didn't always know. I specifically remember as a kid saying, Mom, hey, I want to be a doctor. What can I do with kids? I've always loved kids. And my mom said, you could be a pediatrician. I said, okay, that's what I want to do. And she said, well, you'll have to be in school for a really long time. I was like, no way. Well, that's pretty hilarious, because being a teacher, I'm in school all the time, so I don't know what I was thinking. When I was in 5th grade, I had a teacher named Mr. Korb, and he was one of my favorite teachers, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. And he had a project for us called the Biome Project, where we had to pick a biome different from everybody in the class, and we had to come up with a lesson and teach the class for 20 minutes. And back then we had transparencies, and my dad's a pastor, and so at the church he was at, we had transparencies, and he taught me how to make them and things. So I made transparencies, I did caves, and I got to teach everybody about it, and I just was in love with coming up with my own lesson plans and teaching other people. Question number 4. What is your typical teacher outfit of the day? Well, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but I am not the most stylish person in the world. As you can see right now, even I'm just wearing a t-shirt from when I worked at the middle school and we had a track day and we all wore the same color shirt. I don't have a lot of money, and so I don't really have a lot of clothes. So my basic everyday teacher outfit would be, in the winter it's usually flats, sometimes boots if there's a lot of snow, dress pants, a maxi skirt, and a top that would kind of match, or a sweater usually, and then sandals if it's spring or early fall. And then my hair, it's always in this fancy updo that's really hard to do. just like this right here. Fancy little loop. Yeah, that's about every day. My students last year were getting tired of it. They wanted me to wear my hair down, but I hate wearing my hair down. Question number 5. What do you typically bring for lunch? Well, typically I bring my own lunch. I don't eat school lunch. I did eat school lunch when I was at the middle school because they had amazing food, and so it was a lot easier just to go buy food there. But I do not do that anymore. So either it'll be a frozen meal or a sandwich, one or the other, with baby carrots. Always baby carrots, especially after I was pregnant. That was like my craving, was carrots, which is super weird, but I love carrots so much. So it's either carrots or applesauce or some other kind of fruit. And then sometimes like a Little Debbie. I mean, I know I'm super healthy. Question number 6. What is one of your favorite books on teaching? Well, unfortunately, I just don't have enough time to read. I am a reader. I love to read. I've loved reading since I can remember. But since becoming a teacher, I just haven't had time, and I haven't really delved into teaching books, which I don't know why I've never really done that. I love teaching, but one book that was recommended to me, which isn't really an educational, professional development kind of book, it's more like a funny kind of book. It is a book called 32 Third Graders and a Class Bunny, Life Lessons on Teaching, and it is super good. I'll go ahead and pop up a picture of it right now. He does have a couple of life lessons in there for you, so it's a really good book and you should definitely look into it. Question number 7. What is one of your favorite teacher movies? Okay, I've seen a few teacher movies. The one that I chose is Mr. Holland's Opus. I'm not a music teacher, but I love this movie because he starts out just not really caring about teaching all that much. He's only doing it because it's a job and he needed it. And he doesn't care, the kids don't care, and eventually he gets to the point where not only does he inspire his students, but the students inspire him, and he gets to just loving his job, and it's just an amazing movie. I love it so much. Question number 8. Who was your favorite teacher? I had a lot of favorite teachers, and I'm going to talk more about one and then just kind of shout out a couple of my other favorites. Mr. Korb, my 5th grade teacher. He was amazing, and he's one of the reasons that I always wanted to teach 5th and 6th grade, and I am teaching my dream class, and it's wonderful. He always inspired us. He gave us lots of fun things to do, challenging things to do. We were always wanting to come to school, and so he was just my favorite teacher, all-time teacher, and my only male teacher in elementary school. So shout out to all the male elementary teachers, because I mean, boys and girls alike need your encouragement and they need your inspiration. I also had in 8th grade, my favorite teacher in 8th grade was Mr. Updike. Yeah, you can probably imagine some of the things he was called. But he was so fun. He was so sarcastic, and I'm sarcastic with my kids, you know, knowing when they can handle it, of course. And he was just so fun and funny, and I just loved having him as a teacher. And then in high school, I had Mr. Frangel and Mr. Burns. Mr. Frangel was my drama teacher. I love acting, I love drama, I love all that kind of stuff, and he was just always so fun. I loved going to his class. Mr. Burns is my English teacher. He was not only just involved in us, but involved like in our lives afterwards. I remember he went to my brother's graduation party. And then lastly, in high school, Mrs. Evans was a wonderful teacher. We had this amazing class called Forensic Science, where we got to learn how people figured out crimes and the scientists behind the scenes. We learned fingerprint analysis, handwriting analysis. We learned about blood spatter. I mean, it was wonderful. I got to take the class, and then the next year I got to be a peer tutor for the class. Question number 9. Who are some of your favorite YouTubers, Instagrammers, Snapchatters, etc.? Well, here's the thing. Instagram and Snapchat I kind of keep private. So really the only thing I've got for you is favorite YouTubers. Now, like I said at the very beginning of this, I've only watched teacher vlogs for a couple weeks. I didn't know it was a thing. And when I found out it was a thing, I was super excited. So 2 that you probably recognize because they're more of the well-known ones. But The Lettered Classroom she's the one that started it all, because I'm doing a Harry Potter theme this year, which I'll talk about more later, and I was looking up ideas, and she just happened to do it. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, I'm not sure, but I watched that vlog and then just started watching her vlogs, and she's really good. Pocketful of Primary, love her as well. She's so fun and interesting, and I just love how she just includes us in her life. And then one that maybe not is as well known, that I kind of came upon one day, Mr. Thain. I think he is so cool. I love his bow ties, and I love how he teaches kindergarten. How many guys do you know that are teaching kindergarten? So you should probably check him out. Question number 10. What is one of your best classroom management tips? Okay, I have a lot, but the one that I'm going to talk about, don't assume that you know what is going on. Teachers like to say that we have eyes in the back of our heads, and most of the time, yeah, we know what you're doing. We were in class once. We get it. But there are times where you're not exactly sure, especially with older kids. I feel like it is important to have a relationship with those students and talk to them about it. Talk to them about what's going on. Why wasn't that the best idea? What could you have done better? Pull them out in the hall. One thing that I'm working on right now is not calling them out in the middle of class. Just saying, hey, like later on, whisper to them, hey, meet me out in the hallway. Let's discuss this. Let's talk about this. Having conversations with your students. Now, that does not always work. You know, I've had some kids that, nope, that's not going to work. So you just need to be firm. You need to stay consistent. Sometimes when you first start with a class, you have to be really rigid and really strict to begin with, so that they know that you mean what you mean and that you mean business. And the last question, question number 11, what is one reason you decided to become a teacher? I decided to become a teacher because I want to inspire students to be the best version of themselves. I don't want students to use the word I can't, because they can. I also want my students to have a growth mindset instilled in them, so that they know that there aren't just a certain amount of skills for them to learn, that they can do anything they put their minds to. Well, that's it for this first vlog. Please check back every Saturday. I get to go in my classroom next week, which is really exciting, so you'll get to see my classroom and start to see how I set up for the school year. Thank you, and see you later.